With the 2020 election just days away, things are looking very promising for presidential hopeful Joe Biden. The 270 to win consensus map gives Joe Biden 290 electoral votes with just safe, likely, and leans, meaning he wouldn't need to win a single toss-up in order to secure the presidency. The Real Clear Politics No Toss-Ups map gives Biden a massive lead in the electoral vote count of 345 to 193. FiveThirtyEight gives Biden odds of 89 out of 100 to win the election, with just 11 in 100 odds for Donald Trump. But they add this warning: don't count the underdog out. Upset wins are surprising, but not impossible. Indeed, President Donald Trump has had a long history of upset wins. Despite strong polling throughout the 2016 Republican primary, Trump was often laughed off as a joke candidate at the beginning of the contest. Democrats were then delighted about his victory, since it meant Hilary Clinton would have an easy time in the general election. On the day of that election, Huffington Post projected less than a 2% shot for Donald Trump, with an Electoral College forecast of 323 for the former First Lady. Huffington Post, of course, was not alone. One of the most accurate predictions prior to the presidential election came from FiveThirtyEight, who gave Clinton a 71.4% shot of winning the White House. Those were strong odds for Clinton in an election where she lost. Still, FiveThirtyEight is giving much stronger odds for Biden this time around, and with good reason. In the national polls, Biden isn't just beating Trump by a wide margin. His lead over Trump is more than 5 percentage points higher than Clinton's lead at this point in the race back in 2016. This is true not just on the national level, but also now true in the battleground states. In these states, Biden is narrowly outpolling Clinton's 2016 numbers, according to RCP's analyses. And mind you, in 2016, Clinton lost by some razor-thin margins. As one Vanity Fair headline put it, you could fit all the voters who cost Clinton the election in a mid-sized football stadium. So is Biden all but guaranteed a sweeping victory on Tuesday, or could Trump pull off another election day miracle? Could that happen? In the 2020 election, Joe Biden has been credited with the fact that he has opened up a host of new battleground states, and indeed he has. But however you look at it, the vast majority of American states are almost certainly going one way or the other. There are at most 17 states and 2 districts in realistic contention in this presidential election. It's not impossible that Biden could win Montana or Trump could win Maryland, but those possibilities are so remote that they're not worth serious consideration at this point. In this map, we see in red the states few would dispute to be safe Trump territory, and in blue the states where Biden is almost certainly going to win. This gives us an almost automatic 125 electoral votes for Trump and 183 for Biden. This still leaves us with a remarkable number of battlegrounds though. Arizona, Colorado, Florida, Georgia, Iowa, Maine, Michigan, Minnesota, Nevada, New Hampshire, New Mexico, North Carolina, Ohio, Pennsylvania, Texas, Virginia, and Wisconsin, as well as the 2nd districts of Maine and Nebraska. Among them, there are 230 votes total, which will almost certainly decide the outcome of this presidential election. According to FiveThirtyEight's polling aggregations, among all 19 of these battlegrounds, just 2 seem to favor Trump. He leads in Texas by 1 point, and in Ohio by 2.3. Biden is ahead in all of the other battlegrounds: Arizona, Colorado, Florida, Georgia, Iowa, Maine, Maine's 2nd district, Michigan, Minnesota, Nebraska's 2nd district, Nevada, New Hampshire, New Mexico, North Carolina, Pennsylvania, Virginia, and Wisconsin. So if both candidates win the states where they are currently favored, Biden would sweep into the presidency with a substantial lead in the electoral vote. 357 to 181. While that is a strong lead with plenty of wiggle room, it's not totally dissimilar to what was projected for Hilary Clinton. Most polls-based projections of the 2016 Electoral College looked something like this. This particular map shows what we would generate using FiveThirtyEight's polling averages from just a few days out from that election. That's October 29th, 2016 for this map. And yet, despite Clinton's sizable lead here, this is what ended up happening. So, could it happen again? Well, let's consult the data. In this chart, we see a comparison between 538's polling averages and actual election results. The first three columns show the polling averages by state 4 days prior to the election. Red numbers indicate a Trump lead, whereas black numbers show a Clinton lead. The purple numbers for Nevada indicate a tie. The third of these columns, the plus D, shows the polling lead for Hilary Clinton. A negative number, therefore, is a lead for Trump. In the weeks leading into the election day, in most of these battlegrounds, we saw Trump rapidly narrowing Clinton's leads. As a result, the differences between polling averages and election results are smaller just 4 days out than what we would see if we were comparing polling averages from a longer way out. Still, there are substantial differences. The second set of three columns on our 2016 chart shows the actual election results. As you can see, a number of states favoring Clinton in the 4 days out polling ended up voting for Trump: Florida, Michigan, Pennsylvania, and Wisconsin. This final column to the far right shows a figure I call the Clinton handicap. That is the difference between polling and results. Again, red negative numbers means movement towards Trump, whereas black positive numbers means Clinton outperformed expectations. And in fact, she did do slightly better than expected in a number of states. So what happens when we apply the Clinton handicap to Biden? Well, Trump would end up flipping some states. Returning to our starting place, let's add the states that Trump is likely to hold on to. Applying the Clinton handicap, Trump still keeps his grip on Ohio and Texas. That doesn't change. Additionally, he can be expected to pick up North Carolina, Iowa, and Maine's 2nd congressional district, but Biden maintains control of the remaining states. This brings Trump to 203 electoral college points and 335 for Biden. So even if Biden experiences the same amount of loss as Clinton did in converting polls to results, he'd still handily win the election. And there are reasons to suspect that Biden will experience less loss than Clinton did. For one thing, Trump had been picking up a lot in the polls in the 2 weeks prior to the 2016 election, which doesn't appear to be happening now. For another, many pollsters have adjusted their methodology in 2020 to take into account education level amongst white voters, a demographic distinction that ended up mattering a lot in 2016, but was largely ignored by polling at the time. You can also obviously argue that the October surprise for Hilary Clinton was especially damaging, and the fact that Biden has a higher favorability rating overall may make him a more resilient candidate. At any rate, what is clear is that for Biden to now lose the election, the polling in 2020 would have to end up being less predictive than it was in 2016, a year where the polling was off by more than usual. But is it impossible? No. In 2016, state-by-state polling aggregations were frequently off by 5% or more. In Iowa, the difference was 6.11 percentage points, 4 days out from the election. Here's what the election map looks like if we count every battleground state as a total toss-up if the lead is currently less than 6% for either candidate. As you can see, there's still room for a Trump victory. Now that would require everything shifting in his direction, but as it turns out, that's actually fairly typical. When election results are different from polling aggregations, they tend to be predominantly off in the same direction. I think that 538 is probably right that Trump has around a 10% shot of winning re-election. The odds are against him, but that doesn't mean it can't happen. When you roll 2 dice, it's highly unlikely to get a total of 2 or 12. Each has odds of just 1 in 36. Still, people do roll snake eyes. It happens. Trump is unlikely to win the 2020 election, but that doesn't mean that you can answer no to the question, could that happen?